Welcome back to Dice at Dusk. I'm Nick. In today's episode, we're going to go over how to play Dice Throne by Mind Bottling Games. In this game, you battle each other using dice to be the last one standing. But be careful, each class has their own set of skills to make them especially deadly. So let's get this one to the table and see how it plays. So the first thing you're going to need is the components. Here we have the 6 hero boards. The Pyromancer, the Monk, Shadow Thief, Barbarian, Moon Elf, and the Paladin. Each hero has a leaflet to go with their player board. Each leaflet has a dice key, which is the probability of rolling each kind of die face, status effect definitions, an explanation of each kind of status effect, whether it's positive or negative. Each hero also comes with a health point tracker, a combat point tracker, and a corresponding deck of cards, and any tokens that go with your class. So once you're set up, each player shuffles and draws 4 cards. Starting health is 50, and combat points starts at 2. The person who rolls the highest goes first. So I rolled a 6, I go first. So the player who goes first must skip their income phase, but it's only for the first turn. The game is played one turn at a time until one player reaches 0. So the turn order is upkeep phase, income phase, the main phase. You can play abilities, play main phase action cards, sell cards, offensive roll phase, targeting roll phase, defensive roll phase, main phase, and the discard phase. So you might look at this hero board and say, what's going on? This is your passive ability, the one in the upper left corner in the purple on this board. It says passive right here. These are offensive abilities with the activation requirement and the ability description. This is your defensive ability. Same thing. Your name, description. This is your ultimate ability, your activation requirement, and this is the description. At the middle is where the hero's status effects should be placed so everyone can see them. So the 4 cards that I have are what status effects, main phase action, Vegas baby, main phase action, twice as wild, roll phase action, and try again, roll phase action. So right now we're in the main phase, so I can play one of these cards. Cards with the star icon in the upper left are played and then placed in the discard pile. Hero upgrade cards have an arrow in the upper left. They include an offensive, defensive, and passive upgrade. They are played directly onto your hero board, permanently improving the previous version of the same ability for the duration of the game. These cards can only be played during the main phase. So when you play a skill upgrade to one of your skills on the board, you cover up the old skill. This becomes Fireball 2. It deals 4 damage, 6, and 8 versus 4, 6, and 8, gaining 1 fire mastery. This one gains 2 fire mastery. In order to play a card, you have to spend the amount of CP up in the upper left-hand corner. So right now I only have 2 CP, so I only can play cards that have 2 CP. In the main phase, you can also sell cards and gain 1 CP per card. So if I had ability that, like here, twice as wild, in the action phase, it costs 3 CP. I can sell a card in this phase to gain 1 CP and save it for the next phase. So since in the beginning of the game, I'm going to sell this card. What status effects? And I'm going to gain 1 CP. So now I have 3. That will allow me to play this card during the offensive roll phase. Now I roll the dice. So I rolled 2 swords, a helmet, 2 prayers. So I could see if anything matches here. Nothing matches, so I'm going to play my twice wild card. Any 2 dice become wild. You may change the dice outcome to a different outcome. Righteous combat. I'm going to change one of these to one of those, and one of these to one of those. Righteous combat. Deal 5 damage and roll 2 dice. So mine goes down to 0 CP because I just spent it. Deal 5 damage and roll 2 dice. The opponent is 5 damage. And I roll 2 dice. So I got a helmet and a sword. So I add 1 for every helmet and 2 for every sword. So there's another 3 damage. My opponent has a chance to play an instant action or a roll phase action card in response. So the Pyromancer's defense phase is to roll 5 dice and deal 1 damage for every flame. So 1. So the Paladin would take 1 damage, and she's going to gain Fire Mastery for every one of these symbols here. So she'll gain 1 Fire Mastery. So before the defensive roll phase ends, players have another chance to play a roll phase action card. But we're not going to do that right now, so we're going to move forward. Now we move to the second main phase, but I have no cards to play or sell, so I'm going to conclude my turn. So now it's the Pyromancer's turn, and since I'm the second player, I gain 1 CP, bringing me up to 3, which is the income phase. I acquired 1 Fire Mastery last round. In my upkeep phase, I am to remove 1 Fire Mastery token. Now a lot of people are confused of what this means. The more you play, it's easier to understand, but the more Fire Mastery tokens you have, the more damage this character does. So it's sort of like a currency. So think of the Pyromancer as a class that needs to run hot. The hotter she is, the more powerful she is. So she'll cool off each round. So you want to see how much Fire Mastery you can get each round. So as an example with the Fire Mastery, if I get a large straight and want to use Ignite, I deal 4 damage plus 2 damage per Fire Mastery. So say I had a large straight, I would be able to use this skill and add plus 2 damage for each Fire Mastery. So I have 2, it would add 4 damage, so this would be a total of 8 damage. So now we're at the main phase. I don't have any main phase cards, and I don't want to sell any cards right now, so I'm going to move to the next phase, which is the offensive roll phase. So I'm going to roll my dice and see what I get. I get a 2, 2 5s, 3, and a 6. So I'm going to use these 2 dice to play Burning Soul, which gains 2 Fire Mastery. And I deal 1 collateral damage to all opponents. So I gain 2 Fire Mastery, and I deal 2 damage to my opponent, which is the Paladin. Now the Paladin begins his defensive roll. He rolls 3 dice. So prevent 1 times the helmet, 2 times damage, so that's 4, 5 damage. So I prevent 5 damage, which brings me back to 49 for the Paladin. All right, so that's pretty much it. It goes back and forth like that, attacking, defending, playing special abilities, building up currency so you can become stronger, like the Pyromancer. Each class is a different strategy, and there's six classes out of the box. And I know starting in the middle of February 14th on Valentine's Day, I believe the Kickstarter starts for the new expansions, which I'm very excited about, which I will be backing myself. You can play it 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, or a free-for-all where everyone attacks everyone, which is the target phase. You know, if you're playing more than one person, 1 versus 1, you pick your target and you guys battle. So it's sort of like a Coliseum kind of gladiator, one-on-one or teams, and you fight to the death. Fight to who owns the throne. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Dice at Dusk, where we showed you guys how to play Dice Throne by Mind Bottling Games. I personally like this game because of the dice, the components, and because of the artwork. The artwork is absolutely beautiful, the components are real good quality, and the dice. I love dice. And they're already making expansions for this game. I'm going to leave a link to the Kickstarter in the description below. Well, that's it for this episode. If you liked it, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Also subscribe for more videos just like this. But for now, I'm Nick with Dice at Dusk. Keep playing games.